All right. Welcome everybody to day two of uh, SimNFL draft. This is going to be round 5 through 8. As a reminder, we did do 1 through 4 yesterday. We squeezed in that fourth one. Apologies to anybody. I'll say that's my fault for anybody who wasn't expecting the fourth round and ended up getting an auto draft pick. That's my fault. But hopefully you guys got good players. And if we have any major grievances or issues with that, just let us know. We'll try our best to make amends. Uh, in the meantime, I think what we'll do is we're going to do a quick recap of what went on day one. So I don't know if anybody either in the chat has something they want to chat about, or anybody in our broadcast booth here would like to kind of highlight. So take it away, guys.
I think the first thing we should start off with, we could go through the headlines that Sage put together for day one. I think that really hits a lot of what happened. That's important. If you weren't here, what were the big takeaways? Obviously, the number one overall pick, big deal, is Elijah Rader goes to the Bengals, best player available like in the draft by far. So AI got a good pick there. The the Browns, we got the Browns GM here. Maybe he could talk about it. So the Browns mispicked the first time around. What's the big thing today? Are you expecting to miss any picks today, or is that just the Browns being the Browns?
Well, you never expect to miss. That's what makes it a miss. But got a chance to look over things. Traded up to get another early fifth round pick. So we got a couple coming up. We'll see how those go.
Next up, the Raiders making waves, drafting a wide receiver with only 16 snaps his senior year. Didn't even record a catch, I think, and they took him in the first round. Andrew Richards. That's going to be an interesting one to take a look at. And of course, I think the biggest storyline by far was a quarterback that has all the stats, all the volume stat records in the NCAA last year, went all the way to the national championship game, lost to Tulsa in a close one. Yeah. Didn't even get in the first round. He was touted as like along with the Lions and Link and Asensio as being among the top quarterbacks in the draft. He doesn't even get picked until halfway through the second round. That's probably the biggest one to me. Defensive line, specifically defensive ends and pass rushers being sort of sparse. Our first pass rusher wasn't really taken until the Eagles here picked Mark Soto. And then the first 4-3 type defensive end, Cowboys took him all the way at the end of the first round. That was it. So not a lot in the way of pass rushers. I think potentially that could have something to do with. I did think that the talent really wasn't there in terms of the overalls and the potentials, but the stats too. Like there hasn't been the stat buff to pass rushing just yet. So the sack numbers are really low in college, so maybe that could have an effect on things. And then, of course, finally, the most interesting highlight was the synagogue party with Simeon Ray getting drafted. I think, was it Houston or is it Steelers? Who picked him up?
The Steelers.
The Steelers got him. That's right. So yeah, that's those are the headlines courtesy of Sagebone. Thank you very much for writing those up.
So then I'd like to say there are some classes that seemingly things really got put together. There's a couple that are a little on the, I don't want to say strange side, but a couple where as we're learning in this first draft, you're seeing player evaluations are kind of all over the place. And one class that I wanted to point out, there's a couple of classes that people have pointed to as being some of their favorites. I think a lot of people like Buffalo's, a lot of people like Jacksonville's, Pittsburgh's, Philadelphia's, all kind of in those conversations of being some of the better ones of the class. But I wanted to point out San Francisco's it was whenever I was sorting through the stuff this morning. I didn't make the connection, but they took Russell Latimer in the second as their quarterback of the future. They needed one. And all three of their other picks were wide receivers. Carlos Ramos from North Texas, Genesis Pelham, blanking on where he was, and Nephi Kipnis as well, the other Kipnis brother. But that's a wild first draft that you're basically pushing all your chips on the passing game with Latimer, who, let me double check on what his designation was. But
I think he's a scrambler.
I think he was. That sounds about right. But at the end of the day, like, they had the opportunity to take, he's a scrambler out of Iowa State. They had the opportunity full well to take Matt Howard. And that would have been a very interesting pairing of that much air raid, air power going to one team. But I found that very interesting of how San Francisco kind of has put their team together. The other one I wanted to highlight was Minnesota. Only 2 picks, but they made very flashy picks. Alex Williams III and Cooper McGough. They already are 4 deep at wide receiver at this point, taking the number 1 wide receiver on, I would assume, everybody's board, along with what I think you could argue as kind of in that top 3, top 4 running back in the third. Minnesota is going to be fairly stacked on skill position for a very long time.
Really great analysis there, Ace. I think a lot of really interesting things that you've highlighted there. A lot of take-home stuff, and very interesting. Conversation on some of these people, some of these teams' draft strategies. Before we get started here, we did have a request from the chat just to kind of introduce everybody in the broadcast booth here, so I can start off. My name's this is Subsequent here. Owner and proprietary of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. No, I'm kidding, but this is Subsequent. Let me know if my mic or anybody's mic is too loud in the stream, and be louder. Talk with your chest. I was trying to talk softer because I thought it was too loud. Someone said it was too loud. Okay, well, in any case, my name's Subsequent, and I'll pass it on down the list. Ace, you want to go next?
Yeah, hey, Ace. I am the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Also won the inaugural national championship with the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. But yeah, happy to round out this NFC stuff.
Hey, this is K Green 829, scout of the Ravens. That's all I gotta say.
All right, I think Kirby's away from things. So this is Minnow. I am the head coach and everything that is Buffalo Bills. I do not have any help on my end, so I'm just going to say anything that happens today is solely my fault for just the Bills side. Yeah, just with anything.
Hey everybody, this is Pierce, owner, GM, and coach of the Cleveland Browns.
I'm Rocket. I am the dictator of the Dallas Cowboys, and I also I'm the coder behind the engines for football on the college and NFL side.
Sagebo here. I'm the team mascot of the Philadelphia Eagles and draft day reporter. So any rumors, please send it my way again, and I will be updating the chat for picks and trades as they happen.
I fully expect any rumors to have comunicado oficial at the beginning of every rumor.
All right. Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. I am a toucan. I am the ruler of all sports located in Washington State. Actually, it's just Washington State University, the Seahawks, Supersonics, and if we ever get to hockey, the Kraken. But I am responsible for building a web app that users will be using for the simulation. And I'm here because I'm walking outside and it's a very nice day. And I reckon that people are going to be looking at me being like, what the hell is this person doing talking to himself walking around? Everybody.
All right, great. Thanks everybody for doing a quick intro. Hopefully, people will be able to hear who is who on the broadcast and kind of be able to discern. But great. So I think we're going to get started. I think 4:10 is a good time to start here. So Cincinnati will be on the clock. I think they're probably going to get auto draft, but we'll see what happens there. Okay, cool. All right.
First three picks are going to probably be pretty quick, and then so we're probably going to see Chicago come off the board real quickly today. The Panthers are a user team, but they have elected to let the auto draft take over for them. So hopefully it goes well for them. We'll see.
Auto draft, take the wheel.
Take the wheel. All right, here we go. Hopefully this works. Keep your fingers crossed, everybody. Oh,
Hello,
all
guys.
right. Hey, Kirby. Real quick, let me get these in here. Hey, can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
All right, cool. So
Hello?
first off, Cincinnati Bengals pick strong safety Darren Johnson. New York Jets select Brandon O'Grady, quarterback, USC. That was a big one there. I had my eye on him. And then the Panthers select tight end Isaiah Albuquerque.
Good pick by the Panthers.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Hello?
Chicago Bears are on the clock.
We are live from. Sorry, I can't hear anyone, so I don't know why. But we are live.
We're live
here.
from London.
We're live from London. Myself, Kirby, and
Coach Badger.
Frazier, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. We are listening to music at the moment, and we're drinking beer because we're getting fucked. But as soon as when we come to announce our pick, we'll come on. We'll do some analysis, and yeah, I hope everyone has a good draft. Peace and love, baby.
Sweet. So we've got Chicago Bears during that time picked outside linebacker Jack Jackson, and the Denver Broncos have selected A.J. Hicks. The Rams are on the clock, which may or may not. I think Vivid is here. Let's hope he is. We'll see.
I saw him a second ago.
Awesome. Excellent. So picks are coming off pretty quick here.
What are people's thoughts on Albuquerque? Because I had him highlighted as it looks like a real workout warrior based on the combine and an A+ potential, but only 12 catches on 28 targets. So I was very curious to see if he would last, because on paper, great pick in the 5th, but based on the field, who knows?
I think this is definitely the time to take a guy like that for sure.
So apparently the stream can't be heard by anyone.
Interesting.
So maybe we should pause things and figure out the audio settings? Or do we just keep going?
Yeah, everyone I think that's just Kirby's.
Okay, never mind.
Kirby's got an audio issue.
Yeah, don't listen to the toucan. Sorry, everyone.
So the Rams, you have less than 30 seconds. If you guys are having technical issues, let me know so that I can pause it for you and we can work this stuff out. But and maybe they're also letting auto draft take the wheel.
Maybe so.
All right, the Los Angeles Rams select strong safety Devontae Verrett. The Seattle Seahawks are on the clock.
Cool. A lot of options for this pick, but I'm going to be very quick and decisive with it. And what's this person's name anyways?
Says he's going to be quick and decisive. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm actually mobile right now, so I just sent you the name of the person that I want to draft. I know that's a bit of a hassle for you, but just...
That's fine.
Cool.
Let me get that taken care of.
Yeah, I know that Vivid and myself, we did have issues when trying to draft via mobile here, and so I'm just... Yeah, I'm going to shut it down. Back on mute.
It's fine. All right. So let's see if this should work.
He's very much a scheme fit, but
All right. So with the Seattle Seahawks have selected Yaxel Knox, running back. Cleveland Browns will be on the clock as soon as I get this going and give Seattle that pick back.
That's an honorary mention on the all name team.
Yaxel Knox.
That sounds like something out of Dr. Seuss.
It does. It very much does. I think he was also a teammate with Matt Howard, Florida State, balanced guy. I don't know. His numbers weren't that great, although he was very fast. He ran a 4.36 40. Pretty quick.
You do have to take into account anything rushing wise is going to be very skewed whenever it comes to Florida State's offense.
That is true. They chucked that ball around the yard, man.
Yeah, I mean, I like Knox.
You could say it was the Matt Howard show.
He's on our draft board. I'm not gonna lie. I was tempted. I can hear you now, by the way. I can hear you now. Me and Badger can hear you.
Excellent. The Cleveland Browns select strong safety J.C. Oliveros. The Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock, and then shortly after that, the Browns will be back on the clock. Strong safety being targets.
JC's incredible.
Yeah, I'm amazed that we had a run of 2 and he wasn't taken. I love his zone drill grade, 8.1. Sub 4 shuttle speed. Very excited to see what he can do in our backfield, which needs a lot of work.
JC, it was between Reniger and JC for us when we were deciding between that. They are one of the only two. They are the only 2 strong safeties that had a 7 or higher in both man and zone drill.
Mm-hmm. The Kansas City Chiefs have selected free safety Rock Barnett, so another all-name team guy, but a lot of safeties coming off the board now all of a sudden.
That was also a safety that we were looking at. Believe he had a good combine as well. Kansas City, I think that they're having one of the better drafts, and they were just trading out of everything. So I really like their strategy of just trading. Not only did they stock up on picks, but they got good players for that.
The Cleveland Browns select defensive end Kendall Lincoln. Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock.
I'm excited for this pick because Ace Wolf and the Eagles are having one of the better drafts, in my opinion. Ryan Reniger in the second round was a huge steal, in my opinion. And Mark Soto is just a beast.
See what they do. They've done a lot on defense. All right. The Philadelphia Eagles select running back Lucas Mihalik, and the Arizona Cardinals selected quarterback Maurice Andrus. The Miami Dolphins are on the clock.
Okay, right. We're going to break this one down quickly because we know our pick. I'm going to let Badger introduce this one before I pick it, and he's going to just give some analysis. So I'll let Badger take us away right now. I hope you can hear us clearly. So with our 5th round pick, the Miami Dolphins select Shabazz Foreman out of Oklahoma, Florida's own. We've had a good look at him since probably the 2nd round. We can't believe he's fell to us now. Very happy with this pick. It completes our defense. I think he's got a bit of everything, and he can really bring the ball in Miami. And he's from Florida, so Shabazz Foreman, outside linebacker. Let's go.
The Houston Texans have selected cornerback John Robinson. The Cowboys are on the clock, so give me a minute here.
Was a guy who was near the top of my list for day 2 picks. Love that A+ potential. Pretty high man cover grade when you look at who's still left. I know Hargreaves already went around earlier. A lot of upside on that pick with the A+ potential. Also, Foreman's a pretty straightforward name, but Shabazz, another honorable mention for my all-name team, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Shabazz is an amazing name for sure.
All right, this isn't working. Let me pause it real quick here. Sorry, I'm trying to type. Hopefully, I'm not. This guy's. No, come on. Okay.
Going back to the broadcast, really like the John Robinson pick. I think he's a high caliber, like high ceiling type defensive back. Anytime you can grab someone like that in the 5th round, it's a big win.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to draft Murphy here, and it won't let me. Okay. Try this again. There we go. Okay. The Cowboys select wide receiver Gerald Murphy. Atlanta Falcons are on the clock.
I think Murphy is that the best route running drills grade in the combine? 9.54 for route running with A potential.
Why we picked him.
Yep.
And I really did. I will say I did have Robinson. He was my guy. He was somebody I highlighted at the end of day one that we wanted to go after, and just dropped out in front of me.
Sorry,
so
guys, I just need to re-log into Drafty here.
That's a good pickup by the Texans.
There we go.
My only concern with Murphy was, and this is always the balance between the two. Murphy didn't have great college stats from what I remember, but that's always the balance of how does the guy project versus what have they done.
And I don't believe Eastern Carolina had a coach, so we also have to take that into account. The Atlanta Falcons select Hector Tucker, outside linebacker. The New England Patriots are on the clock.
Man, that's a fast linebacker. 4.38 40.
Very fast.
Ooh.
That is why we picked him.
Yeah, I've got a big sheet of all this conditional formatting with all the combine info. So every so often, as you get down the list, you get more yellows and oranges, but then there's some of these bright greens that pop out, like the one fast linebacker or the middling receiver with great hands, and you see these little pockets of green that indicate players that could be good role players later rounds.
Yeah, I think those are the players. They're going to make the difference in those crucial games. You're not necessarily asking them to do everything like you are a top player, but if they can just excel in one thing, specialize in that one thing, whether it be, like you said, a possession receiver, he might be slow, but he has very good hands, or it might be a corner that fits your scheme if you're running primarily zone or just a fast linebacker. So I think those players and knowing how to utilize them, they'll make the difference in winning and losing games.
At the end of the day, those are the guys that you want to look like. Stats be damned sometimes. Like, you're looking for guys that can fill very specific roles. So, like, that Vandy Ballhawk. He had great potential, if I'm not mistaken, a really good zone coverage, if I'm not mistaken.
The New England Patriots have selected offensive guard Melky Hughes. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock.
That's a great pick.
And that's kind of how you have to... That's how you have to... For those teams that are looking to contend over multiple years, those are the guys you got to get.
The Buffalo Bills have selected Senaries Calderon, all name guy. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock, and then the Buffalo Bills will be right back up.
That's another really good Louisiana Tech guy, Louisiana Tech wide receiver. Really good combine drills, good potential, good combine drills. Like, good pick.
So I definitely want to ask the Eagles Brain Trust here what their thoughts are on their draft. I know you guys have 3 picks left, but it seems like you guys are really hitting. You don't. We've seen a lot of teams like the Los Angeles Chargers going after offensive line and linebacker. You're trying to solidify the center of both of their sides of the ball. You guys have been all over the place. You've gotten a pass rush outside linebacker, a strong safety, an offensive lineman, defensive end, which I guess will be more of an interior kind of guy for a 3-4, and then a running back. So you've done all kinds of different stuff. Is that, are you trying to, did you go in saying we're just going to do a best player available? Were these targets you were looking at to bolster these parts of your team? And before you answer real quick, the Jaguars have selected Akrum Robinson, wide receiver. The Bills are back on the clock.
How do you want to handle this, Sage? You want me to take it?
I'll start off real quick. I guess, firstly, as you guys may know, Ace and I are good friends outside of this. We've worked together in the past, have very similar player evaluation, which helps in these situations. Kind of made our big board, everything kind of lined up. We know what each other likes. We know what each other is looking for in the positions. And frankly, through the pool and free agency process, we try to get key pieces for the scheme we want to run. And the draft has been easy street for us. The players we really like keep falling into our laps. We haven't made a single draft day trade, which is pretty remarkable. I'm a big trade guy. But I feel like we're getting really good value. Through the first day, I feel like we landed the best outside linebacker. We got the best strong safety. We got a very solid guard, and then a big run-stopping D end, which is kind of what we're scheming towards. Ace, what are your thoughts?
Real quick, the Buffalo Bills have selected wide receiver Franklin Hezanya. Don't know how to say that. Another interesting name guy. The Pittsburgh Steelers then selected Adrian Daniels, wide receiver. The Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock.
I love that Franklin pick.
I was trying to find combine information on that guy. Not sure if he is invited, but pretty high ranked up.
Who?
Which guy?
Franklin.
He might have had a pro day.
Yeah, I got something here for him. Yeah, he had the combine. 4.3, 4.40.
Great stats.
Shell speed. Really, really nice numbers with the combine in terms of pure like athleticism.
So we're seeing a lot of wide receivers come off the board real quick here. Calderon, Robinson, Hezonja, Daniels. Just not too far earlier, Gerald Murphy came off the board. So beginning of the round of the fifth, we see a lot of safeties come off the board. Now we're starting to see a lot more skill players on offense come off the board, specifically wide receivers.
Yeah, and there's a big glut of that kind of like CC plus, AA minus potential in the wide receiver. So definitely a lot to be drawn from. Not to say there's not big differences between, the highs and the mids, but a lot of potential there still to be tapped, I think, in the wide receiver draft.
The Los Angeles Chargers selected running back Drew Reed, and the New York Giants select outside linebacker Christian Crosby. Tennessee Titans select outside linebacker Garrett Tazawa. Minnesota Vikings select corner Morgan Johnson, and the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock. Real quick, 4 right in a row.
So back to the question. At the end of the day, like we like, and this is kind of the same thing that everybody's doing, to a certain extent. But like we saw our pool players picked guys that we like tried to fit the best fit to a specific scheme that we could, so that we can try and maximize the talent that we have. So at the end of the day, our offense, we were given more structure to the offense. We had, I think it was like 7 of 11 picks from the pool team were starter level guys that effectively kind of dictated what we were going to do on the offensive side. So that left our defense a lot more open, vulnerable, whatever you want to say, to whatever we wanted to do with it. We had a lot of flexibility there. So whenever it comes to that, we're looking at guys that are specifically, once we kind of got a couple pieces in, we were able to kind of solidify exactly what scheme we want to run towards. That's where Soto comes in. We pair him with Hightower. We now have 2 great edge rushers, or 2 high potential edge rushers. Reniger falls, and we have a Swiss Army knife of a safety that we're allowed to, that we could place kind of in a variety of different roles. We solidify the offensive line with Dave Thomas. which I will say was not our number one choice in the third, but he was a great opportunity for us to get at that point in time. So at the end of the day, the fact that, Sage is right, we view players very similarly. We know kind of the roles and schemes that we want to try and fill with some of this stuff. And at the end of the day, we are looking at trying to create we may not be the most talented team, which I will say, like, our highest rated player going into the season is going to be like an 85. Some teams have 89, or some teams in our division have 89 defensive ends or 88 defensive ends or whatever it is. So for us being able to find the right players at certain picks that fit certain things, that's the thing that we're looking for. And to a certain extent, Sage is right. We have specific guys we're looking for. Go for high potential, go for guys that fit certain things, and we're coming out reasonably well.
All right, so we got up here the 49ers select offensive tackle Joe Hawkins. Green Bay Packers picked quarterback Nick Mazzaro. A Denver Broncos selected defensive tackle Raymond Ortiz. The Buffalo Bills selected defensive end Antoine Dedman. Great name. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have selected J.C. Curry, outside linebacker, and the Las Vegas Raiders select another fullback, Brandon Lawson. It seems like auto pick strikes again for them. The New Orleans Saints are on the clock. They have given me their 2 picks, so I will make those picks for them shortly.
So Rocket, it's Badger here. I'm
What's
just
up?
curious, as it's Badger here speaking for Kirby. I'm just curious, like we're halfway through the draft now. I'm just curious to ask, as commissioner, I want to ask you 2 favourites from each conference. How do you see it?
That's a great question. Let me get back to you. I gotta do some admin stuff here to make these picks. Then I'll get back to you.
What's everyone else?
So let's see here. So New Orleans Saints are going to pick outside linebacker Mike Betances out of SMU, and then they're going to pick up wide receiver Johnny Brewer out of Texas. Let me pause this real quick. The Raiders then selected cornerback Nathan McKinney, and once I give these picks back to New Orleans, Tampa Bay will be on the clock, which I think might auto pick. I don't know if
that wide receiver pick is going to be very good.
Yeah.
Like I think this wide receiver class is reasonably deep, even though the overalls may not reflect it. But that Texas guy was really good. Great stats.
Okay. So that should be given back now, and Tampa Bay should be on the clock here. Yes. All right. So to answer your question, I'm not too sure off the top of my head. I haven't had a chance. I've been doing a lot of like engine rewrites and stuff, and just handling some of the admin stuff. So I haven't really had a chance to take a deep look at a lot of these teams. I think off the top of my head, I'm interested to see how teams like Kansas City, and the who was it? I think it might have been Minnesota did decently in free agency. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select wide receiver Trevor Herrera. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. So I definitely think in terms of the NFC, it's probably going to be someone from the NFC East, which sounds biased on my part, and it might be. But the Eagles have had an excellent draft. The Washington Commanders have had an excellent free agency and then a decent draft too. So it's going to be very difficult to push an NFC East team out of the playoffs, I think. The Tennessee Titans have selected wide receiver Frank Tarpley. The Denver Broncos select offensive guard Xavier Stubbs. And the Green Bay Packers select defensive tackle Aaron DeValve. So let me do some catch-up here on my end. I think I'd say right now, AFC for sure, Kansas City. I think they have an interesting shot. I'm not really sure about anybody else in the AFC right now. Maybe Buffalo.
Miami looks nice.
My only concern with Kansas City is quarterback. I don't think that they've answered that question really. unless I'm mistaking something from the draft. I don't think they have.
That's entirely possible, and who knows how much quarterback is going to matter. I mean, I think it should matter quite a bit, but we don't know. How will the sim treat a team that really doesn't have an answer at quarterback, but potentially has the rest of the team around them looks pretty good?
Yeah, like they're going to be the case study, I guess, because they currently are like, as it comes into this season, like before the draft, it was they have Jeffrey Miller, who's a 58, James Carter, who's a 78, and then the rest, like fullback, and all three of their wide receivers were 59 or lower. So like they have a lot of good pieces here and there, including David Cunningham, Ramon Eubanks. Like they have a couple of really good like individual standout guys, but I'm a little concerned with their like they have individuals, but do they have a full team? Even though I will say I have liked a lot of what they've done in the draft, even though they keep trading down and all that kind of stuff.
I think it would be quite cool if after the draft someone would like create like an odd sheet, so favourites to the least favourite, like in odds. I think that'd be quite cool. That would be cool.
I think we do have a way of doing that. I forget, it might have been Sarge put something together like that. I don't know what's going on with San Francisco again. They're having issues. So I'm gonna have to make this pick for them. I'm gonna auto pick it.
Denver stole their pick, but I may be biased.
Okay. Let me pause here real quick and give them back their pick.
Also,
so the San Francisco 49ers select cornerback Scott Cabrera, and the Minnesota Vikings select defensive end Mitch Rivers. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock as soon as I get this going. Sorry, go ahead.
I was to say I would like to go back and highlight the running back we took, Mihalik. So excited he's there. I think he can be. He's not the best receiving threat, which is what I was used to with Bruce, but like, I think he could be a really good speed back for us, and adds a second option for us in the running game. A- potential, like, I think he's a great overall pick.
The Tennessee Titans select free safety Lewis Gay. The New York Giants are on the clock.
And running back at this point, there was a couple of different guys that were kind of on my board, kind of all in the same level. But I think Mihalik could be the best of the bunch.
The New York Giants select inside linebacker Wyatt Lacoste. The Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock.
I misread that as lacrosse, and I thought, yeah, Wyatt sounds like a lacrosse name. I'm also realizing with the speed we're at, I have 2 picks coming up soon, and I'm watching my players, watching my top 15 disappear off the board, as we get down to the later levels.
Wow, Wyatt Lacoste is a D+. I mean, he's got great speed, 4.46, but wow, that's a low pick.
That's a developmental guy right there. They're hoping he's going to be good long term. Let's see here. The Chargers select wide receiver Josh Aquino. Steelers select defensive end Marvin Machado. And the Carolina Panthers select defensive end Addison Tyson. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. We're really getting into the projection guys that definitely aren't going to start anytime soon. And it really is just a matter of, what do you value in terms of traits? And I know we're seeing a lot of high potential guys now popping off here. People hoping that eventually they can grow into something that's worth starting.
Like the Aquino pick, great pick pump, high potential, looks to be like a kind of slot early on, maybe has potential to go.
I'm looking. I don't think there are any guys left with A+ potential anymore that are better than a C-. The Jacksonville Jaguars select defensive tackle Brian Simmons. Cowboys are on the clock.
I think we've had more defensive linemen picked in the early part of round 6 and the last of round 5 than entirety of day 1. It's been crazy. Big run on defensive linemen.
The Dallas Cowboys select corner John Kennedy. Sorry. The New England Patriots are on the clock.
Yeah, by the looks of it, New England, they're looking to, they haven't necessarily made a splash, but their picks are great. Vincent Allen, possession receiver. They got a good nose tackle in Darren Edwards. Bruce Puello, he's a great free safety. So they're not the hard hitter picks, but these are picks that are silently but steadily filling up their team.
The New England Patriots select Ty Gardewine, corner, Atlanta Falcons on the clock. If you guys want, I can go over basically my thoughts for the Cowboys picks. I don't think I've got a pick for a little while here. My big thing that I was going in was I had quite a few. The Atlanta Falcons select tight end Levon Hester. The Chiefs are on the clock. One of the big things going in, I know that I needed help at wide receiver. I needed help at corner, especially. I think we had one guy at corner, but I mean, we were weak, man. We were really weak. And guard, we had everyone but a guard on our offensive line that wasn't a scrub guy. So I was really happy getting Rodriguez. I feel like now instead of the secondary being a real liability, now we have a chance to actually stay with some dudes. I think that picking up an offensive lineman like John Pinto might not help us right now, but it's something that down the line can really help us. That as long as the rest of our offensive line can stay together, he can in maybe a year or two start filling in one of the guard spots. The Kansas City Chiefs select wide receiver Neil Faulkner, and Houston Texans select wide receiver Greg Tavecchio. The Miami Dolphins are on the clock.
Okay, I'm going to quickly speak. It's Kirby. Sorry, we're just going to run through our picks when we make them. Quite glad this guy's on the board. I'm going to pick him now. Yeah, we've got one of the fastest running backs in the league at the moment. He's really quick, so this guy just gives us another edge. Yeah, in essence, Lengel looks like a good player. I think he's too good for the 6th round, so we'll see. We're very happy.
Yep, the Arizona Cardinals select offensive guard Brady Smith. The Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock. Just to kind of tie up what I was trying to say here in a bow, one of the things, so we really hit corner. Corner seems to be solidified for us for a little bit. We got wide receiver taken care of. We got offensive tackle taken care of. There's still some spots I'm not happy with. Some dudes I wish would have fallen to us would have been like guys like Renninger. The fact he fell as far as he did, I'm like, come on, just make it a little bit farther, and we couldn't make that happen. The Eagles select Pedro Eckler, wide receiver. The Detroit Lions are on the clock. So safety is one place I really was hoping to get. We tried to go after that in free agency, and I forget, who it was, but someone beat us out, started to really upbid us, I think especially at strong safety, and we just couldn't keep up with the cap. So we decided, you know what, we're not going to mortgage our future to try to win now, but it wasn't even really a win now. It was a guy that wasn't going to help us get over the hump. The Detroit Lions select free safety Brandon Lopez. The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock.
Rocket, it's Badger.
Yes.
I just want to say I'm a huge Cowboys fan. I appreciate what you're doing with the Cowboys right here. I was a part of the SimFBA with Kirby, so I know how long this league has been in the making, and you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you. If you're ever looking for a job, let me know. We could use some help in the Cowboys front office.
We got a live draft room right now.
Oh no, but honestly, you're doing a great job, man, and this is a great setup. I love my American football, and this is brilliant for me. So thank you very much.
He's never been in a sim before, so this is his first time. So here we go.
We're gonna crack another beer.
Yeah, we're gonna have another beer.
Very good. The Baltimore Ravens select wide receiver Jordan Albers, and the Cleveland Browns select wide receiver Andre Wood. The Seattle Seahawks are on the clock.
Yeah, so
Sweet,
with
I
this
get to
pick,
draft someone.
with this pick, we were thinking I believe he's an A- potential guy. He was top 10 in like average score and his ranking for the skill positions for the drills. So we're really satisfied with him as a possession receiver. We're hoping he can come in, make an impact, and yeah.
While we're sitting in a bit of a lull, I think let's talk about another team's draft that I've enjoyed. Pierce, do you want to talk about the Browns?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a bit of entertaining drama at the beginning, and I got chided from my 6-year-old who was in the hallway for the language I used. I said, "Dad, you can't say that." But looking for speed on the outside and then bodies on the inside, I felt like we needed a skill position. I was looking at receiver. Kind of surprised and dipping that high that early because again, I knew a large group of that kind of C grade A potential guys were there, and I just took another one. So filling up on that group where I have basically one starter level player that's young, a second year guy, Lovejoy. He's a 64 overall. He's currently my best receiver. So it's going to be a very young group that's competing for time, basically, and I'm hoping my veteran quarterback can make some of them look good. And then beyond that was just getting help defensive backfield, so corner and then strong safety. Reinger almost fell to me in the second. That would have been insanely lucky.
So the Seattle Seahawks are having some issues, and with a second left, they got me their pick. So give me a moment here to make that for them. They pick tight end Brian Smith from California. So let me just.
For not watching the stream, having a second left, I didn't do too bad at all. Dang.
Yeah, you made it with the second left. That was pretty crazy.
So just wrapping up on the Browns, I was looking at a lot of linemen before free agency happened, and I ended up taking 3 linemen in free agency, one each of tackle, guard, center. So I ended up spending to plug most of those holes. So then kind of had to pivot on my draft strategy. But other than the issue in the first round, I feel really happy. I mean, I've gotten what I needed to help the defensive backfield. I've gotten skilled players on offense and defensive line. I had good linebackers. I targeted those in my pool because I wanted to run a 3-4, but I really didn't have the linemen I needed for that. So getting a specific nose tackle in the middle, and then making that extra trade for Kendall Lincoln, who's a C+ with A- potential and nearly a 7 in the run stop drill. Feeling like I might start to get an identity with this team.
The Los Angeles Rams are going to be on the clock real quick. Sorry to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Raj. Dog making his presence felt. Let's also take a break as soon as the 6th round is done. So really after the Chicago Bears pick, it'll be 3 auto picks, and then we'll be taking a break.
Man, flying. Whew.
Yeah, we are absolutely burning through this. We're about 40 minutes into picks, and we're almost done with the second round. It's the second
Los
round.
Angeles Rams select offensive tackle Yandy Wright. The Denver Broncos are on the clock.
Yeah, I think people had a chance to revisit their boards and put some players at the top. And there's probably, now that we're getting into later rounds, probably a wider range of the kind of people, the kind of positions people are targeting. So probably more of people's top prospects left on the board and racing to the podium to grab them.
The Denver Broncos select running back Tanner Lake. The Chicago Bears are on the clock. And we're going to close out the sixth round. The Bears select free safety R.J. Foster. Panthers select wide receiver Brian Wanamaker. The Jets selected quarterback Nick Neesman. And the Bengals selected quarterback Darren Humphrey. The Bengals will be on the clock when we come back. Let's do almost 15 minutes here. Let's do 5:05 Eastern time. We'll come back. Sound good for everybody?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. And all right, now's your opportunity to go to the bathroom, grab something to eat, something to drink, and we'll see you guys back here at 5:05.
I'm still really excited about that Eckler pick. Eckler had a nutty stat.
I gotta admit something. I have not looked at college stats this entire draft.
Same.
Which, to a certain extent, you can do that. Like, I think you can reasonably do that. But this just I've been going off of pro day combine stuff and then using stats to justify like most of the players. But the fact that he had 17 catches for 589 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that dude's a burner. Like, he's not on the field a whole lot, and I'm curious because he was on Bama, so like, if I'm not mistaken, Bama had a pretty decent amount of wide receiver talent.
I was just gonna say, line him up in the slot, have him run a fly route.
Yeah, like and to a certain extent for what we want to run, like he's going to be on the field like a limited amount of times, but like that's worth a flyer. Like that's the type of guy you take as a developmental guy. Mm-hmm. Is 35 or 34.6 yards per catch. That is nutty.
I think I've gotten my favorite late round pick after the run of receiver, still having Andre Wood there. Sub 4 shuttle speed, 6'6" on the cone drill. That's up there with like the top 20 prospects. A 40 on his vertical and an 8.76 on his route running. With an A- potential. That's a guy that, yeah, probably. Well, with my receiving group, who knows what's going to happen? Don't expect him to see him on the field week 1. But seems like a real high ceiling guy that I would love if he could surprise some people in the next couple of years.
Yeah, let me look at Eckler real quick. Eckler had decent stats on the nothing like world breaking or anything like that, but 7, basically a 7 route running, 6.5 or 6.7 hands, but that's not bad at all for what you're looking at.
Rocket, if you're actually, let's just say Chiz had an idea that we let the 3 auto picks go for the first part of the 6th round, but I think maybe that gives the 4th round a little bit too much of an advantage of giving them like 15 minutes to choose a player, right? Yeah, probably.
Got a question asking about the Colts draft. I'll need to double check and see about who they picked in today's draft because I'm going off of the other one as well. Rashawn Lyons. I like Lyons a lot. Willis Bruce I liked a lot. I have to double check the strong safeties specifically. Those two stood out to me immediately. Tanzel Harvey. Yeah, decent zone coverage grade, so if you're looking for that specifically, that's good. Richie Gasol. I didn't remember him that much. B+ potential. Ooh, his coverage grade is incredible. So yeah, if you're running a 4-3, Richie Gasol's not bad in that regard, which would explain why we didn't. With us taking Mark Soto in the first, I don't think anybody would think that we would be running a 4-3. Elijah Ellis, if I'm not mistaken, I liked him a lot. I need to double check. See if he's the guy I'm thinking of. Oh, he was a man guy. Yeah, but he can play both. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why he stood out. So yeah, Colts have been doing a good job. At the end of the day, Lions is the good one, and Antoine Dedman. I just like after a certain point, the defensive ends, I kind of stopped paying attention to a certain degree. Let me see if Dedman stands out to me at all. Antoine Dedman. Oh yeah, I do remember that name now. Great pass rushing grade for him to be there.
Ace, you're typing rather aggressively there.
Sorry.
So while we got some downtime, feel free to again send me any rumors. I know the draft's been fast, haven't really had a chance to talk, much less drink my alcohol. If anyone on the podcast would like to kind of discuss their team's draft, I know we've run into the Eagles, the Browns. Subsequent, do you want to talk about how Atlanta's done so far and what you're pleased with and what you're not pleased with?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah, I think we've had a pretty good draft so far. I know there's a couple questions about us picking up what's his name, Ulrich Phillips in the first round when there were some other guys available, but I think we did like Ulrich Phillips. It's not a bad choice there. Chris Frazier, we're very excited about. He's not the quickest quarterback there, but I think he's got enough speed at C to kind of have good pocket presence and avoid sacks. I mean, he's just A's across the board for pretty much everything non-running related, including potential. So we're really excited to have Frazier there. I know he didn't have a really good season in his senior year, but he tested pretty well, and we're super happy there. Adonis President, great name, of course, to begin with, but B- overall. Nobody's gonna get past him. A speed, A football, IQ, A agility. He even has A carrying, I believe, which is pretty intriguing. Hint, hint, maybe that could be something interesting. And C catching and A route running, unless I was misreading something. So that's really, really exciting to see. The only downside with him, I think, is F stamina. So I think some of the guys we drafted, we didn't really look at stamina so much. So we'll see how that really plays out for us. And then yesterday we also picked up Demarius Kendricks in the 4th round there, a run stopper, inside linebacker. I think he's going to be really great. Super strong guy, doesn't miss tackles, and really has, a pass rush, a run defense. I think is going to be really scary for any quarterbacks or running backs trying to run straight through that gap there. Today we picked up 2 guys so far. Hector Tucker, a speed outside linebacker, which is one of our needs there. A speed, A football IQ, B agility, A's on both coverage stats. I think this guy is going to be pretty scary as well there on the outside. I think he's going to contain any quarterback or running back trying to bounce around to the outside. But still have that flexibility to cover, a streaking wide receiver down the middle or a tight end who's just trying to, run across crossing route there. And then finally we picked up Le'Veon Hester. We do have a pretty good tight end already, but Le'Veon caught our eye there. He's a C overall, but B speed and A's pretty much across the board for all of his kind of catching and carrying abilities. So I think he's got sure hands, and you might expect to see him potentially in the slot a couple times there. So I'm pretty happy.
Going through some of the rumors that have just been sent, we've got some good ones. Los Angeles Chargers are potentially trading some late picks next year to get into the 7th round this year. So Pump be the target there if anyone wants to reach out. The rounds go fast, so intermission's a great time to set up trade talks. The Tennessee Titans are ecstatic with their draft. They're very, very happy. So great job to Wheeler. I know the fans back home are very happy with their selections, getting a potential #1 overall pick in the 2nd round with their defensive end selection. Mormon, just insane. And hot rumor coming from the Rams organization. Their front office apparently went on a bender over the past few days before the draft. Might explain some of their selection. You could already see the pitchforks being raised up in the Pasadena Valley. Just going to be some exciting days as they got to match up against the Chargers organization, who I feel like have drafted very well. All right, everyone, we are about 2 minutes away from returning from intermission. Feel free to put some booze in the chat if anyone has anything you would like the panel to discuss. Or if you guys want to jump on and discuss your team's drafts as well, please just shoot me a DM. We'll try to loop you guys in.
I'm taking the next 2 minutes. This is Huskin from the Seahawks speaking. That is.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I think as far as our draft has gone, I think the first round we took a few missed shots. I mean, we drafted wasn't necessarily part of the plan, but just taking a look at, I think the first round overall, we just figured that it'd be better for us to just stock up and get ready for the second, at least next season, and then just use this draft as a means of just getting a lot of potential, a lot of pieces in. So as far as our first pick, it was Christian Carter, linebacker from University of Kentucky. I think I've heard some comments stating that the pick was a little bit too high for the linebacker, but honestly, and my thoughts, I don't know. I was on mobile, I was in my car, and I didn't really have the resources in front of me to make the pick that I wanted, but I'm very happy with this guy since this guy was on my board. Luke Strahan, I saw my soul a little bit just to draft the player, but I think he's actually pretty good. Really impressed with him as a QB. Didn't put up the greatest stats at TCU, but I think he's going to be a leader here for the Seahawks organization for the long term. That's what we just say. But overall, I think with our plans for the next season, each one of these players that we're drafting is going to be starting, and that is a guarantee from me. So.
All right. So let's go ahead and get the 7th round started. We're, like I said, probably going to have a couple of quick auto picks here, and then the Chicago Bears will be the first user pick. So let's get going. All right. The Bengals selected tight end Josh Hawkins. The New York Jets wide receiver Marquise Cabrera. And the Panthers outside linebacker Matthew Odor. Chicago Bears have selected Ryan Sharp, offensive guard. The Denver Broncos are on the clock. The Broncos select offensive guard Zach Hicks. The Rams are on the clock.
Matthew Oder, great name.
The Rams select center Julio Gano. The Seahawks are on the clock and have given me their pick. So let me go ahead and pause and make it for them.
Thank you.
The Seattle Seahawks will select DeMarcus Hagens, offensive tackle from Nebraska. So let me go ahead and got to do the housekeeping stuff to make this happen. Okay. And the Cleveland Browns are on the clock.
So while we got some dead time, much more news about Matt Howard. Apparently last night he reached out to several organizations asking why he was not picked earlier. He's been subtweeting the presumed QB1 of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Dean Hammond. Allegedly, he was towed when he went to the Denver Broncos for an in-person interview. Just the news just keeps going out. It just keeps getting worse and worse for Matt Howard. I've never seen a player get slandered like this going into draft week or even after getting drafted. You hate to see it for the young man, but where there's smoke, there's fire.
Sounds like his career is done.
That's soon, man. It hasn't even gotten started. Uh-oh, are we going to have another Browns issue here? We'll see. Let's hope not.
Or as we call it, a brownout.
They are not. The Browns, Browns have selected tight end Marquise Rudolph. The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock.
That's what the headline should have been. GM suffers brownout. That's a good one.
I'm gonna save that one in my back pocket for later.
Please do. Yeah, I was debating between a decent player at a position of possible need or a guy that just looked really good, and this is the round to just take guys that look good. I have a great tight end, but he's going into his 9th year, so why not grab another really good one and see what happens?
The Ravens select strong safety Zach Ellington. The Detroit Lions are on the clock.
I would say that we're pretty satisfied with this pick. We felt like he could be those versatile players, like they said. They're looking for those BPA players, but also players with versatility. Can they be a special teams player? Can they cover as well as run stop on defense? Can they be a gadget type of player on offense? So these are the rounds to look for those type guys, and we felt like we got good value out of a C plus, B plus potential guy.
And a fun fact about Zach Ellington here, he's actually, when he was at Indiana, he was on the marching band as well. He's a descendant of Duke Ellington, obviously the jazz great there. So really interesting fellow there. When we talked to him, he was a really cool guy.
The Lions select running back Jalen Langle. The Eagles are on the clock. And we got a couple real quick ones here. Philadelphia Eagles select Jake Miranda, inside linebacker. And the Arizona Cardinals select defensive end Matt Wallace. Dolphins select tight end Kevin Sanchez. And the Houston Texans select wide receiver Josh Rogers. Cowboys are on the clock. And give me just a moment to make that selection.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed by the Ravens draft so far. now we got two members of the Ravens staff on the broadcast. Do you guys want to talk about how you guys feel about this inaugural draft for your team?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it. Me and K Green, we will say that we're a little quote unquote green, touche, but we haven't we haven't really, manned a franchise like this, but we were young, excited to do it. We were ready to, take the challenge on. And with this draft, we would say that we're satisfied. Our top two targets, we landed, which is interesting because we were not expecting the draft to unfold this way. We were expecting a lot more QBs, not as much wide receivers. So that kind of put a wrench in our plans, I'd say, a little bit towards the later rounds. But overall, we say we're satisfied. We got free safety one in our mind, Matt Perez. We got RB3, RB2, but technically RB1 for us because we felt like he could do everything with the A's all across the board. Um, we have another safety to add with Zach Ellington, and we have a good possession receiver in Jordan Albin. So I'd say that we're pretty satisfied. And then we have Alan Sterling. Can't forget him. He's going to be making a lane for James Taylor to run through. So we say we're pretty satisfied. But as always, we're always looking at how we can improve. We're always looking at how we can do better and how we can overall just have more successful drafts, whether it be through better scouting, just better research, but we'll be looking to improve for the next year as well.
The Dallas Cowboys select Keith Trent Jr., wide receiver, and the Atlanta Falcons selected tight end Corey Randall. The Patriots are on the clock.
Also, just to add on top of that, more of just a lot of guys, like there's a couple guys that we came in here that we were looking that we thought would go later, that went earlier. We thought we would be able to get, no one's coming off the top of my head right now, but we are lucky because a couple people that we have that we kind of highlighted at the start of the draft that we wanted to draft going into this, still available coming up on our last pick. So, not even looking back, just looking forward, looks like it's going to just end up being a really good draft for us, something that we're both really happy with. We've kind of just been on the same page throughout the whole process, too. Just like we've kind of just agreed on like which players are good, which players we should look at, and which players we kind of want to go after.
The New England Patriots select running back Fish Liggins from Minnesota, and the Tennessee Titans select corner Luke Garvin. The Jags are on the clock.
Fish Liggins. Oh my gosh.
Another all-name guy.
Oh, that's amazing.
He was the heavy lifter from Minnesota for a while. They did pretty well with him, and then things kind of fell off the planet there. The Jacksonville Jaguars select defensive end Noah Pilliar from New Mexico, another New Mexico guy that Darth is always raving about. Interesting that he's fallen this far. I figured Washington would have had their eye on him. And right in front of where the Washington usually would have picked, but they traded to the Bills. Bills selected Deontay Ladendorf, corner, and the Pittsburgh Steelers select corner Kenny Fisher. The Chargers are on the clock.
Ladendorf is a national champion.
That is it. That is all. Also, little tidbit, he was the 35th player generated. Player ID number 35.
That is literally all the analysis I have on Ladendorf. He showed up in he basically didn't do a lot.
Okay, but I'm very excited for the Patriots to play the Steelers, so Kenny Fisher can tackle Fish Liggins. That's just all I want to see, to be honest.
Do they play this year?
I don't know, but we should. I hope they do. Maybe in the Super Bowl they'll play each other.
Well, they're in the AFC. They can't. They'll have to be the AFC.
Oh, the championship then, yeah.
That's it. You're fired.
Oh shit.
So the NFL schedule. Just taking a look here. Appears to be we have some technical difficulties. Give me just a second.
Hector, that's a yes.
I think we might have it figured out. Let's try it again. The Los Angeles Chargers select outside linebacker Eli Escobar. The New York Giants are on the clock. The Giants select Jabari Hunter, defensive end. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock. There he goes. The Tennessee Titans have selected quarterback Reyes Chubb of Purdue, and the Minnesota Vikings select strong safety Anthony Ahmed. San Francisco 49ers are on the clock. Another playoff quarterback gone.
Who just went?
Reyes Chubb, Purdue's quarterback.
Yeah.
He definitely seemed like a guy that seems like a flyer pick. I don't know if Titans are expecting him to really do anything. It's a late round. If you take a late round quarterback, probably not expecting too much. He did well in college, but I think he's a guy that's like a peak in college kind of guy.
I was gonna say Chubb. It's hard to tell how much of his stats were because of Devontae McKinney.
Yeah, that is true. So I'm looking at this. New England does play Pittsburgh, Week 12 in Pittsburgh.
That is a game to watch.
Fish
That's
Liggins getting tackled by Kenny Fisher.
Fish versus the Fisher. Is it going to be streamed on Nat Geo or Discovery Channel, maybe?
I'm on History Channel.
And Ray over at the Steelers too. I mean, that's three of the biggest draft stories all at once. Can't wait to be at the game.
The San Francisco 49ers select offensive tackle Kyle Foster. Green Bay Packers select running back Chanel Adeniji. What a name. And the Denver Broncos select Danilo Shakir. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock. The Buffalo Bills select tight end Chaz Esch. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock.
Yeah, we're hearing
at one point the commies were threatening to get back in the draft to take Danilo. So I think that's a steal right there. He's a good player for Tennessee.
Yeah, he's a good player. We had our eyes on him as well. We had our eyes on him. Maybe we would have picked him, but recently we obtained a zone corner, very elite 90 zone. I forget his name. His name eludes me, but we've opted to change to a zone scheme, all because of him. Elite traits. He's only 26. But if we were still trying to run man, we probably would have taken him in this round.
Just a second here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Nolan Moscott, offensive guard, and the Raiders have selected wide receiver Chad Laborde. The New Orleans Saints are on the clock. I don't know if they're here or not. Let me see here. Okay, give me just a minute. You're working through some stuff.
Yeah, we're hearing reports back in Tennessee that Reyes Chubb, apparently he has fallen to his knees and is praying out to Devontae McKinney, quote unquote, "Thank you, Devontae. I am no longer in poverty. I am naming my son after you."
Devontae Chubb.
So I guess breaking news from the Twitter sphere, we've seen Matt Howard go at it with the Miami front office. Um, front office has responded on Twitter. You're seeing comments from Miami starting quarterback again, Dean Hammonds, reaching back out to Matt Howard instead of putting his arm around what looks to be a pretty troubled individual at this moment. It's just a beat down on the poor rookie. Love to see Florida rivalry develop. But Matt Howard, man, exciting player. The media is going to love him.
Sorry, I was working through some stuff still. The Saints are they sent me the first guy they want.
Breaking news again from the Denver incident with Matt Howard about the car being towed. It turns out Matt Howard drove a stolen car to the Broncos practice facility. More to come.
Quite frankly, I believe that Matt Howard, the NFL needs to do what they can to help this kid, get him some therapy. There's something wrong with this man. No amount of football talent will overcome his personal issues and his off the field issues. We're hoping to see a superstar, but it's looking bad for him.
Again, the draft is going through some technical issues. Does anyone here else want to discuss kind of Matt Howard gate?
So I'm real quick, just to try to be as transparent as I can here. The Saints have sent me their picks. It's just I've had to find them. They're a little far down the list here. They're going to be a lineman here, Eric Monroe and D Chapman back to back, and then we'll start heading down the 8th. I just got to make the picks happen. That's all. What was your question there, Sage?
Just to see if the panel had any more thoughts on Matt Howard gate. It looks like Jay Green believes that he's a troubled individual that needs some help from the organizations.
Toye Davies, wide receiver, is the Las Vegas Raiders pick. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. I mean, I think he has some talent. It's not like there's nothing there. He just needs to forget about all this extra crap and get in there and do the work. You know what I mean?
Congratulations, everyone. We are rounding round 8. It's been a fast draft. This is the final round.
Yeah, this is thank you, everyone. First off, before we start getting too far into anything else, and before people start dropping off, I want to thank everybody that's helped out with this. Pierce, you've done an excellent job setting up a lot of the free agency stuff and everything. That's been great. Sarge did a lot of help with that as well. A lot of the initial contracts and things. And all the guys that came on here to talk about the draft broadcast. That's what makes this stuff fun, is the interactions, talking back and forth, having some fun with things like the Matt Howard pick and him falling and all that stuff. That's all really great stuff. Thank you, everyone who was able to make it. I think we had a vast majority of the teams here actually making their picks. That's kind of stuff. That's why these kind of leagues succeed or fail, is the community interaction. It really is. So I want to thank everyone who's participated in this. Buccaneers select quarterback Riley Okeke. Not sure how to say that. Okeke. There you go. And the Buffalo Bills are on the clock.
And of course, thanks to Rocket for putting together this. This is really awesome. We were able to run a couple tests and got it to the point where we could manage it. So it's super awesome. And this is a really cool little board here where we're able to use. I think it makes things just so much more fun that way.
Also, not to jinx it, but we have had no issues of trades not working on the interface. So great work, everyone.
We're not done. Shh. Don't jinx us.
Everyone knock on wood. But trades have been working on the interface.
Our first punter off the board, Anthony Upton, Buffalo Bills. Denver Broncos are on the clock.
I would like to say I love this pick. I am subscribed to the Pat McAfee Show on YouTube, and I tune in for every episode. Punters are people too. So glad to see Anthony Upton getting a shot.
Yeah, but are these punters any good? I don't know. We'll see.
They're
The
punters.
the Denver Broncos select defensive end DeForest Cunningham out of Duke. The Green Bay Packers have selected offensive tackle Anthony Lackey. He's out of Vanderbilt, who had a terrible season. They lost to Georgia, of all teams. And the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock. No shade to Sarge, of course. He was dealt a very terrible hand at quarterback. So,
yeah, I'm fine with it.
Let's see here.
I'm very biased against Georgia, though.
I don't think Georgia Tech has a coach. So if you wanted to pick them up after you've won at Tulsa.
No.
I wanted to see, I think this round here, I know I'm going to be doing this. I think this round is going to be the pet cat kind of round. The guys you don't want to have to fight over in UDFA. Because, a lot of these dudes are not going to be anywhere close to seeing the field. They're going to be worse than the guys that you got as quote-unquote scrubs or below-average players in your pools. So I'm interested to see what direction people are going in for their pet cats,
And that's why I picked up a punter.
The San Francisco 49ers have selected offensive tackle Drew Billingsley. The Minnesota Vikings select cornerback Nick Beltre. The Titans select Doran Peraza, kicker. And the New York Giants are on the clock. Another special teams guy off the board. The Giants select wide receiver Vance Assembly. The Chargers are on the clock. The Chargers select corner Matt Kelly. The Steelers are on the clock. Anybody have any pet cats they're willing to say, hey, this guy is probably going to be an interesting undrafted free agent, perhaps?
Matt Howard.
We got a question here about the full season sim. So last night this morning I ran the updated engine against a season that was put together by Alex. He wrote up all the schedule files for that. And it's been run. The stats have been extracted out of that. We have to organize all that, though. Like, there's a lot of files that have to go through. T. Sweezy's going to be helping us do that. Hang on there, bud. Sorry about the dog. But basically, he needs to do that so he can compile together basically the season stats for teams and players. And then we're going to use that to adjust the actual numbers underneath the hood. So, like, features like overtime and fixes for penalties and things like that have been put in the engine, but the numbers haven't changed. So once we wanted to see what changes those features would do before we actually changed any of the numbers, like buffing pass rushing or nerfing pass blocking or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Let me let my dog out, and then we'll make this Pittsburgh Steelers call here. The Pittsburgh Steelers select offensive tackle Alfredo Rogers. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock. So Pumph asking about, and Clem also asking about UDFA. If you look at the free agency post that Pierce made, it's going to I think it's probably going to be this week or next week. There will be a free agency round, which will basically just be everyone who's not on a team. It'll be all the regular NFL players along with all the undrafted free agents. So I don't know if someone in the draft room could go ahead and try to find that dev diary. I would appreciate that, so we can link that in the SimNFL chat.
And Rocket, do you know? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but does that mean also we'll get some more attributes for these UDFAs, or you think it'll be after that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Real quick, the Buffalo Bills select fullback Cole Aminu. The Jags are on the clock. I think what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna set a snap count for a player before you get their full attributes. You should still have a kind of an idea of what they are, though, at least their overalls, because they're pretty tightly correlated with what their letter grade was, especially if they went to the combine or pro day. The Jags select defensive tackle Chris Hernandez. Titans are on the clock. So I think once certain players hit that snap count, then we'll reveal all the data for them. And if for some reason that snap count's not hit by the end of the season, then by the end of the season we'll reveal all those numbers,
including preseason games.
Yes, yeah, cool. I would say so. I think that's probably a good idea. The Titans select. Oh boy, here we go. Chukwuma Valentine, wide receiver. The Patriots are on the clock. That number hasn't been set in stone just yet. It probably will depend on things like this new season being run for the NCAA, see what kind of snap counts we're looking at. Then we'll probably go from there. The New England Patriots select wide receiver Willis Pryor. The Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. I'm seeing a couple guys here that I don't think went to the combine or to pro days or anything. So I think a couple of these guys are dudes that were scouted, that guys brought in. I know I tried to avoid anyone that made it, that went to the combine or a pro day. I wanted to get guys that I had no other information on. So I am interested in seeing what some of these other teams are picking in terms of that.
Yeah, with focus scouting, I believe we had a defensive end. I want to say he was out of Southern Mississippi, who definitely didn't go to their pro day or their combine.
Dan Marino spoke to Kirby a few weeks ago. Said Kirby spoke very highly of Matt Howard, but also stated he worried about his lifestyle outside of football. And fortunately, this seems to be coming to fruition, and the season hasn't even started yet. I hope this kid can find peace on the field. The Falcons have selected kicker Russell Wright. Cowboys are on the clock, so excuse me, and I'll go make this pick. The Dallas Cowboys select wide receiver Doran Mitchell out of Kutztown University. The Houston Texans select defensive tackle Ronald Kieschnick. No idea how to say that. Miami Dolphins select tight end Eric Hannerman. And the Arizona Cardinals select quarterback Addison Crosby. The Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock.
Arizona drafting 2 QBs, 2 offensive guards, and 2 fullbacks in this draft.
Yeah, that's auto pick strikes again. The Philadelphia Eagles select cornerback Russell Grantham. The Detroit Lions are on the clock.
Good old Russell Grantham with his 9.04 zone coverage grade in the 8th.
There you go. A- potential too.
Yep.
The let's see here. Detroit Lions select defensive tackle Brendan Porter, and the Baltimore Ravens select outside linebacker Niles Bell. Cleveland Browns are on the clock. The Cleveland Browns select cornerback Lou Hecheverria. What a name. Seahawks are on the clock. And I believe I need to make this pick. Oh, wait, no. Them. The Seattle Seahawks select Darius Reed, defensive end from Alabama. The Rams are on the clock.
I'm hearing some breaking news from other organizations that when Matt Howard came for their interviews, he could not name a single player on that organization's offensive side of the ball. So, yeah, the problems just keep coming. I think it's a classic Ryan Leaf scenario here. Obviously, not taking second overall. The league's come wary to that. But, man, even on a day where he was not supposed to be discussed, Matt Howard just keeps making the news. Certainly the most polarizing player in football.
The Rams take cornerback Kevin Blanco. The Denver Broncos are on the clock.
As we get close to the race for Mr. Irrelevant, does anyone have any contenders?
Denver Broncos select cornerback Rob Guthrie. The Bears are on the clock. Now, I don't know what's going to, real quick, I don't know what's going to happen once the Bears pick, and we have these auto picks here. So I'm going to try my best to pause this either right before the Bengals or during the Bengals so that we have a chance to record these. Okay. So once we get these recorded, we'll do this last one. I don't know if it's going to kick us out right away or what. So Chicago Bears, Curtis Monk, quarterback. Carolina Panthers, quarterback Jerickson Elfine, and the New York Jets, wide receiver Scott Coyle. So the Bengals, Mr. Irrelevant, you want to talk about this real quick, like for a minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and make these make this selection.
As the running joke goes, you have to have a phallic related name to be Mr. Irrelevant. I'm gonna throw out the Dixon kid. I think he's got a shot, but again, the Bengals have been chaotic throughout this draft. Not sure where he'll go.
Yeah, definitely. The auto pick will reign supreme. So let's see what happens. All right, it appears to be offensive guard Julian Anderson. And that's it. That's the end of the 2022 SimFBA NFL Draft. We made it, guys. We did it the last 4 rounds in an hour and 40 minutes.
hour and a half actually, because we started actually less than that because we started 10 minutes late, and then we had a 15-minute break in between. So thank you guys so much. This has been an awesome draft. I'm sure there's going to be 1,000 different hot takes, cold takes, warm takes, lukewarm takes, and middling temperature takes, molten takes, whatever. So I'm really excited to see what kind of media we see coming up. But thank you everybody for taking the time. I know it was a longish weekend, a couple hours, multiple hours of doing this. So this is really awesome. Another shout out to the whole team for all the work they put into it, especially Rocket and Pierce, as well as everybody on the broadcast team, everybody in the chat, all of our sponsors. It's been really, really awesome. Like Rocket mentioned earlier, keep an eye out for UDFA stuff. I'm sure somebody will give everybody a reminder of that. I'm super excited for the next college NFL seasons to start, as well as college basketball and college in the NBA. So, thanks everybody for being here. Anybody else have any last thoughts they want to mention?
Yeet.
I'm just going to say, keep your eye out for stuff about spring games. That's going to be the next thing that we're going to hit here. It's going to be probably in the next 2 weeks, I'd say. You're going to hear something about it. Hopefully sooner. The faster we can get things tested and adjusted, the better. But it's going to be spring games for college. So also try to finish up any schedules we have outstanding. Then we can get into training camp and preseason games for the NFL. By the way, the spring games and the preseason games are going to kind of operate as like betas for this version of these engines. And that way kinks are worked out where it doesn't matter. And then we can move into the regular season for both of these leagues, which I'm hoping will be you'll start hearing things in the next 3 to 4 weeks about starting up. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, with that, we can close this broadcast here. It's been a pleasure having you guys on here, and look for all that information, plus the VODs and full draft list, hopefully sometime this evening. All right, see you guys.
Fins up.